Hello, everyone. Welcome to.
We're not doing that.
I want to use it.
Never.
I'm totally adding
Unless you
this.
start waving a wand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the You Don't Look Like an Engineer podcast. In today's episode, we have new equipment, and we're so excited to use it.
Look how you just said it like it was like yesterday's news and not important at all. We have new equipment. Yeah, it's cool. We're just excited.
No,
We have fucking new equipment. And it's so good. It does this.
and we're still like trying to understand how the fuck do you. Nah, I'm kidding. It's pretty straightforward to
And
use.
it might not crap out. That's the best part. We won't have like recording stopped. You know?
Yes.
If you guys don't know, we've been struggling with that for
Oh
a
my
little
god, for like 12 months.
bit. And
for a
so
little
sorry
bit.
to all our guests who had to
Yeah.
suffer through that, honestly.
Yeah, especially that
That's
one.
a thing of the past.
Especially that.
That is so
Specific.
2022.
Oh my
You know
lordy
who
lord.
you are. Huh? Okay, so for today's episode, we want to be talking about something called internalized misogyny,
Yes.
which the reason why we're diving into this randomly is not so random.
I don't think it's random. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say.
Exactly. It's been on my mind for a few weeks now, and
All your life. No, I'm kidding.
I suppose so, but I think more coming in the forefront to see like how it impacts, you know, the way we view the world.
May I ask what triggered this thought? Because Sohan has now made an episode about this. Like, I joke, but obviously, like, she messaged me this week saying, "Hey, Lau, we should talk about this." We have a list of episodes to go through, and
This was not on the list. Yeah.
but it's significantly important for us to
Exactly.
touch base on
And we just
topics like this. But I just want to ask,
bumped it
what
up.
triggered you?
I don't think it was anything specific, more than just a lot of reflection and you know, journaling and that sort of thing. And I sort of wanted to get to the bottom of why I look at the world the way I do. Because anyone who knows me knows I have like very strong opinions about things like the patriarchy or oppression of women. And sometimes, you know, when you talk to people who aren't like you and me, they be like, why do you have such strong opinions? Like, what is the basis behind being so
Have
not
you come
negative?
to the bottom of it?
No, I mean, I feel like a lot of it is like speaks for itself, you know, look at the way society is. But sometimes I would just wonder, is it internalized misogyny?
Okay, but no, I mean, like, have you come to the answer of why you're so driven to create change in society? This is an interview now.
That's what I mean. Like, the drive comes from what I see happening in society.
Okay.
So that in and of itself, I don't think that's changed because of reflecting extra. But definitely there might be an element of, I don't want to say overthinking, but like reading into things all the time, or like looking for, like, even like you talk to some people and sometimes they don't have a problem with the patriarchy. You know, they feel like it came for a certain reason and it's normal, and it was like a leader and a follower is a great way to have a society. But when I don't have a problem with that. Personally, I really don't. It's just when a leader becomes authoritarian,
Yeah.
dictatorship.
Yeah.
When a leader becomes like a dictator, that's when the problem starts. And I think that has happened so much that I have a problem with the way women are treated, and that is why I want to create change. Essentially, I want us to have
Because you
cerebral
are
equality.
part of the minority as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think like even us women of color in
Even more so, yeah.
yeah, it's like we are the minority within a minority,
Yeah.
and we are helping other minorities within minorities to have access to equal opportunities.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But
I share
also
that passion.
Internally, why I might look at certain situations and be like, oh my God, why can't women have that? You know, why can't women have, I think growing up, it's like better conversations, better, even just equality in conversations, when conversations are happening, like, and I come from a very cultural background, but I'm sure ethnic households have that too, where like, you know, the men go and sit in one corner and the women like have their own conversations. It's not mean. No one's doing it out of like wanting to segregate each other. But like you do tend to miss out on some quality conversation, and I'm not saying the women's conversation is not quality, but there's obviously an exchange of thought that's happening in both circles that is lost.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, as a young kid, you just, like, you're really, like, not even as a young kid, like, the conversations that happen are different. And I was like, do I have internalized misogyny, thinking, like, you know, women's conversations are, like, surface level or just more about social networking, whereas the guys are talking about different things. So that's sort of, like, how I got into, like, why do I think about that so much? And I was like, oh, maybe there's a bit of internalized misogyny in that, if that's clear in any way, shape, or form.
I think it's clear, but now to go back to the subject of the episode, and now I asked these questions for a reason. They are very interesting, and it sort of like helps me understand you. Lovely. So, what is misogyny, Sohan?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to get into that before we talk about how it's internalized. I love how I ask you, Angie. Like, yeah. Sorry. It's okay. But yeah, so I think for anyone that is not aware, misogyny is typically hateful behavior or prejudice against women that is actually, like, from men to women. So that's how it is. Like, you know, men looking down on women in any way. But essentially it stems from a more patriarchal society, again, where, you know, the male was higher than the female. And, you know, you can almost assume that because the patriarchy is the stemming cause, that it's sort of the father of misogyny, we can call it that. But essentially it keeps women at a lower social status. And yeah, it's just looking down on women, whether it's like, it can look like, oh my God, that driver was really shit on the road, must be a girl. You know?
Yeah, like comments like that. Yeah. And I think it's interesting because, it's interesting because I think, again, like going back to patriarchy, patriarchy. I hate that word in English. Because
patriarchy? Yes. How do you say it in Spanish?
Patriarchal system.
That's patriarchal. Why I say
Yeah, patriarchy. There you go. That was a social system, right? And I find it interesting because it's like after like the matriarchal system. Here we go. Lau having issues with pronunciation again. After the matriarchal system, then it comes the patriarchal system, and men are providers, and they are pretty much the leader. What I find interesting is that we put women into a box that they just were going to be wives, and they were just going to be like, to have children. Like, that's the tag that they gave us. Like, we couldn't actually serve society and that's the bone that I have to pick on this system in particular, because it's like if we were categorizing men to just be the provider and that's it. Like, men aren't good enough but to just provide for women.
But, like, that's what the patriarchal society put in men's
exactly
heads, you know? Like, they're like, if I'm not the provider, what am I?
Exactly. Yeah. So it is not beneficial for both genders.
Exactly.
But it's also very objectifying to both genders. So you're either the provider or you are
a nurturer, and that's it.
Yes.
Black and white. Yeah.
And it ain't good.
No, especially because, man, I was reading about, like, the oldest student in the world who had passed away recently, I think a couple of months ago. She was 90-something, and she was from Kenya. Yeah, so she was amazing. She was in primary school, and the fact that she was able to do that, so much courage, first of all. But second of all, she said she did it because essentially, like, women in so many parts of the world are not given an education beyond, you know, I don't even know if some of them make it to primary school, to be honest, but beyond grade 4, grade 5, it doesn't really happen much in so many parts of the world. And she actually said that actually makes you no different to a chicken in the house.
Yeah.
That's literally all you are.
So sad.
Exactly. And to reduce a perfectly intellectual human being who can do so much down to a chicken.
Exactly.
It's so sad.
It's like, I love this. Thank you for bringing this up, because it gives us an understanding of why this topic is on a podcast today. Because it's sort of like we are cutting, and not now as much as we did before, thankfully, but we are still sort of like cutting people's wings when we have these internalized thoughts or when we approach our life like this. And as you were saying before, I don't know if you got here because we talked so much. Sometimes we have to cut things and start again. But Sohan was saying before that it's self-inflicted. It's come to the point that we cut our own wings, and our potential, it's actually
Yeah, it
by our
limits
own,
you 100%.
by our own.
It limits
thoughts.
yourself, and it also limits your potential to interact with the same gender.
Yes, exactly. Oh
Look
my God,
at, yeah,
lovely.
guys and their brotherhoods, like they don't
Stronger.
suffer from this.
Yes.
You know, like, but unfortunately, because misogyny is such a thing, you start like judging, and it starts in high school. You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not like other girls, or I don't want to dress up too much because I will be deemed as like a slutty girl who's only here for guys' attention. I'm smarter than that. I am better than that.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff, like you don't hear guys saying that. You know, guys don't suffer from that and they're just there to be happy, have a good friendship, call it a day. You know, they don't have to worry about how they look and what they're talking like.
Big edit. They could probably be wondering. No, they could probably be worrying about how they look, but it doesn't go to the point that they have to compete against
their gender.
Yeah, it's like
but that would be out of their own choice, right? Because they just want to look good. It's not that if I look a certain way, I am
less than or better than. It's really interesting because it also, as we dive deeper into this episode, we'll realize how much of an impact it has in our career, I guess, success, and even like just in our development as people. Like, we can't live by comparing each other and competing with one another because it just limits us to creating deep and meaningful connections with other people and from learning.
It even just limits your self-expression, you know?
Yes. Oh my God, yes, because you're constantly like trying to be like, oh my God.
Yeah. And like, I guess it's the version of toxic masculinity, but female version.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That is a really good way of putting it. So it's internal. No one actually puts it on our mind but ourselves from stereotypes that we have seen in societies.
And media, mass media, honestly, the way it portrays women of different categories in different ways. It's, so like one thing I was thinking about is like, oh my God, how does media portray this? And honestly, like if you just look at like movies or whatever, they demonstrate like smart girls as like reclusive, or sarcastic, and they're like social outcasts, so like I don't belong anywhere, which sometimes is not even portrayed in a bad light. You know, when you look at a lot of movies, like they show like, oh, the guy gets super interested in her because she has depth, she's intellectual, and in the end he's only interested in a mainstream girl for like a fling. She's not like someone he'll get married to. He'll eventually get married to that girl who was like, you know, social recluse, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's, if you actually think about it, what are you telling a little girl? You know, like and that makes them like grow up hating wearing pink, or hating sounding over enthusiastic, or not smart enough, or like it just makes them hate certain characteristics or tendencies that are so normal. Like they don't have to be bad in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing inherently bad with them, but there's nothing inherently bad with trying to obviously be more intellectual. I've been like that at school. I was like, oh, I'm not going to dress up too much because I'm not like that girl.
I think I also have that, and it's really fucked because, sorry, my language, but Colombians can be very opinionated, and I remember like people telling me like, oh, like you should brush your hair a little bit more, or like wear your hair in a certain way. And I remember my curls, you guys know, like I actually had such a like love and hate relationship with them when I was growing up, because it was really difficult to sort of like keep clean, like a clean look.
Okay.
And they were high maintenance, like I am. But I think I remember people saying to me like, oh, like maybe you should try harder to look like more
mainstream.
Not just mainstream, but yes, but more like feminine. Like, oh, you should brush your hair because that's what girls do. And I'll hate it. I'll be like, don't tell me what to do.
I'm going to go play in the mud.
But it was sort of like a rebellious sort of like behavior, because I obviously didn't want to be told what to do, and I wanted to express myself. But I also didn't want to look like all the girls, because that made me feel like I was basic.
lesser than in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
Which is
It's
such
sort
a
of like
strange competitive thought process to put in a young person.
in a young person. Exactly. It's like from zero, you're giving someone a superiority or an inferiority complex.
100%.
And that is stemmed from like not accepting yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like it's really detrimental, I'll say, because growing up now that I'm much older, and I think going to uni, I sort of just faced this fear, and I was like, you know what, if I want to dress up, I'm gonna fucking dress up, and I completely changed. Like, if you look at me in school, you look at me in uni as two different people.
Yeah.
But I think growing up, now that what I was saying is I'm older, and I really appreciate a good, strong sisterhood. You know?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, they're such a pillar of support, and they're there for you in, like, because, you know, women socialize differently. We're there for each other in ways we know how to be there.
Wait.
And we appreciate.
I have a question.
Okay, go.
So, what you were going with at the start, because you were like talking about how in high school, sort of, they put a seed into you of not, or like competing with one another, just because you didn't want to look mainstream or like the other girls did.
Yeah.
But now you have come to realize how much of a benefit is to have a community.
Oh, so
of females.
yeah, so the way that it impacts you is that in school you don't get to practice that. You know, if
Okay.
you're obviously thinking
That's so interesting because I did practice that.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's what I was like,
Okay.
wait a minute, you didn't have communities of like female.
Not necessarily. Like there were, like don't get me wrong, especially here, I did enjoy female friendships, but I know like in certain aspects of my school life, it was like, oh, you know, girls are too much drama. It's so much nicer hanging out with the guys. I went through that thought process.
Right.
Or I would just be like,
no, yeah, same.
yeah. And honestly, like there is like high school's a weird example because obviously everyone's going through puberty. Everyone's like,
There's a lot of hormones going on.
exactly.
But
So
there's
you do
also
see
not
certain behavior.
defined identities because you don't know.
Yeah, you
Any
don't. And it's
better.
constantly shifting. The start of the year, your friends could be a completely different circle to the end of the year. It's crazy. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I feel like this is when good sort of like values from your family play a big role, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like if you have a family or caregivers that sort of like cultivate good values like you have to be loyal or like you have to be respectful or you have to be honest, then you start to realize that those are things that actually are important and that you want to sort of like cultivate through your friendships and stuff like that. But if you don't have that really well defined, then you like sort of like don't know what to do. It's like there's no skeleton or foundation.
Yeah. But like even on the surface level, like if we're looking at internalized misogyny on a appearance basis,
Oh,
you do see like in high, like that's why high school is a poor example, I'd say, but also a strong one. It's like a weird dichotomy, sorry. But you see, because high school being the nature that it is, like girls that look a certain way or dress a certain way do get more male attention.
yeah.
And that's just the nature of how it is. And obviously you
Even
can,
if you, they develop earlier
True.
than others, like they
Yeah.
are start to be more appealing to men.
Yeah, and so I
We
guess
are-
there's that, and that's probably also where it's like, oh, I don't want to look like that because I'm not here for that. Personality does play a role here.
But what is personality? Personality is something that you develop through your environment, your
100%.
culture. So if they in your culture, females are to look a certain way, and again, like stereotypes come
Yeah.
into play, then you inherit these thoughts and
Exactly.
you inherit these attitudes, and they come and manifest when you're 25 years old. and this is why we're recording this. But it is true.
Yeah,
We just had to go into that tangent.
and it's oppressing yourself for no reason, you know, and you miss out on such a fun, easy way of growing up, essentially, or even not growing up. Like when you're older, you start looking at certain aspects that are so a part of your whole gender group and completely cutting yourself out of that.
Yeah.
You know, even if you maybe want to develop like, oh, nice friendships, or you catch up and you just, you know, go out shopping or whatever, but you're like, oh, I don't do that kind of thing, you know?
It's limiting.
It's limiting.
It's like, why? Like, I understand if people don't want to hang out with other people because they have like zero interests in common, but if it's just because you like sort of, that's so interesting though. Because if you don't have the interest of like going out shopping with someone, then why
But you have to buy something at some point. You either need groceries or you need like you're gonna like
Yeah,
there's a cloth that might be needed. You know,
come hang out to buy onions.
I was thinking IKEA, but fair.
Okay.
Yeah, IKEA's cute, man. IKEA is fucking.
I was
great.
just gonna say
Yeah.
something. I think internalized misogyny, a good example for it for females is our body image issues that we have. So as we know, like society and just certain industries have sort of like
Oh yeah.
made a look, like the standard look that everyone should follow.
Because it's the epitome of aesthetics, essentially.
But it's also what is appealing to male gaze.
Did they do a survey?
No, exactly. But that's based on. So this is the problem. No one did the survey, and we keep doing that.
Because every time you talk to guys, they're like, "We don't even like that. Who decided that was what we liked?"
Exactly. It's like why?
So
Why?
who got it wrong? Can we just go back to the person that fucked up in the beginning?
But it's so messed up because a lot of like females strive to look a certain way, and it's so they can please the opposite gender or like appear attractive to them. And as you said, like sometimes it's not even a real thing that
Because
they
you
feel.
know what is annoying about it, and I found out in the research that I was doing, they did like a little survey on it was a glamour
Who did this
magazine, first of all. So
Yes.
obviously, please don't judge the source. But basically, what they found is that
Don't
on
judge this.
average, a woman has 13 body-hating thoughts per day. Can you imagine how distracting that is? You're trying to work, you're trying to do something, you're trying to go out, have a good time with your friends, or just be authentically,
Present.
connecting, present, and you're just interrupted by hate against yourself.
Yeah.
What the hell, you know? And I don't honestly.
It's so bizarre. And it's come out of this illusion that you have to look a certain way so you are attractive to certain species. And this species that I'm calling is not even...
And not even that
doesn't
you're
even
attractive
agree
to
with
them
that.
or not. It's just you don't look like the best standard.
But like that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
it's so this best standard is driven from the fact that may like that, you know, and that's the issue, and that's why people think, and that's why people think that when we talk about the patriarchal system and when we talk about misogyny, it's like hating on men, because unfortunately they have been brought into this. You know, like somehow without their opinion, even as you shared the fact about the survey, it's like, I don't even like that. But somehow everyone keeps
But
saying
it
that
depends
men
what
like
social class you're in. Like actually, like if you are,
that. Yes.
like higher.
Oh my
end,
goodness, yes.
Richer people do like that, so maybe they put.
But not even just richer people, because then we go back to cultural. It's like people from certain countries might like that. Like people that come from first world countries, European countries have a completely different standard or concept exactly of what beautiful or like a good body is. Then if you go to Colombia, damn,
It's
is
so
different.
different.
Damn, is different. So I guess what I'm trying to say is
Like if you go to Nigeria, what they consider hot in the West, they consider really poor. Like not poor aesthetic. They'd actually think you have money problems because if you are affluent, you are generally bigger. You know, because you have the ability to enjoy food, I guess. So they would think you're batshit poor if you look like Gigi Hadid in Nigeria. You know, they'd be like, please throw food at her.
oh my god, that makes me so sad. But going back to the thought thing that you were saying, Sohan, today I was listening to this podcast about self-actualization and how to be more present and how to just like rewire your brain. If you want to practice self-actualization or if you want to like heal your trauma, if you have 13 thoughts that trigger your flight or fight, it's going to be so damn hard for you to rewire your brain. Why? Because your brain, in order for you to rewire your brain or to change the way you think, you have to be calm. And if you have thoughts that constantly trigger you, the same memory and the same reaction, it's going to be harder for you to do it. And I'm making an emphasis on this because the solution wouldn't be to get frustrated at us, because that is ultimately going to be worse. is to be a little bit more compassionate. And this is why I was asking you at the start. I was like, what triggered this? Because if you were not being compassionate with yourself and you were judging yourself so hard, I'm like, okay, we have to understand that we have sort of like, we have been conditioned to believe that we're not enough because we don't look a certain way, because we follow certain things. And now that we're wanting to change that, we have 13 thoughts in our head. No, but I hope I am making sense and I'm getting my point across. The thing is, we need a lot of compassion, and we need a lot of it's not easy. It's not easy to heal yourself, and these things are going to show up. And it's going to be especially harder if you are in an environment that constantly triggers your flight or fight.
Yeah, and constantly is already telling you that you're lesser, and you're lesser for, whatever reason. And then, I don't know, you start internalizing and being like, oh my God, we're like lesser for this.
Because it is a matter of a repetitive thought. And it's like confirming this. Because when you think something so much, you then believe it. Yeah. And when you start to believe it, you create that neurological path. I think that's the problem with internalized misogyny in a male-dominated industry, because we do have to think about this.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
And it's funny because, okay, so quick story time. So I tried this thing called craniosacral therapy, and on my first appointment, I sort of had to tell the practitioner why I was in the appointment. Like, they were like, what brought you here? And I was sort of like telling them about my issues. And we started talking about the fact that I am a very sensitive person, and I'm in a industry that is male dominated. And it's funny that me as a sensitive person has put myself into that situation, because it's essentially harder to thrive in the sense of like, I'm going to feel attacked, or I'm going to be more reactive to it. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, because you are surrounded in an environment where naturally you have a complex that they're greater, and it just doesn't happen for every woman, obviously. And please, I'm sorry if this doesn't happen to you. Don't judge me. I'm so sorry. But yeah, you have this complex where, you feel like it doesn't have to be an active thought, but somewhere in the subconscious, it's like an inferiority thing. Because the reason I know it happens is because point number 1, 2, 3. We have some points here, okay? Point number 3 that I was going to talk about is actually, it happens to a lot of mainstream women as well, because we're thinking about when they look at people in the workplace, they've found that both men and women tend to interrupt women when speaking more than they would a man. So even women do it. Mm-hmm. Because somewhere we've already dismissed a female co-worker with this internalized,
it's normal
oppression.
Like normalized behavior.
Yeah, and we've determined theirs is a standard less than, and theirs is an intellect less than, and their point is not as important, and therefore they can be talked over. And this is a double standard essentially, because we don't want that being done to us, but we're doing it to other people, and it shows up in the way that we treat ourselves and the way that we treat other women. They've also noticed that female bosses might offer a woman a lower salary than she would offer a male person that they were going to hire, without even realizing why. Like, that's the thing. It's not exactly. It's not conscious and it's not malicious, but it happens. And the reason it's so important to know the reason why we behave we do. And that was the whole aim of talking about this.
Yes, and I agree 100% with you.
But even like the way women talk in workplaces, like women judge it just as harshly as men, I guess. And it is sometimes because we know it's a defense mechanism when we don't want the counterpart to behave like that. When we laugh too much or whatever, like it's something women do, just
laugh it off.
No, when they're nervous and laugh.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And that's a thing. And obviously, like you know where it stems from, and you don't want it. But like, if someone is doing that, it's okay. Like, it's their coping mechanism. It should not be judged so harshly, but we do. Yeah. So it's just understanding those things, and it also it comes up in other ways. It comes up with like the first thing. How we've talked about it before, how like women only apply to a job if they match all the criteria listed. Yeah. And that is like, because when you internalize that feeling of inferiority, you're always questioning your qualifications.
Yeah.
And that's your capability.
Like imposter syndrome might come into play.
Yeah, it's all interconnected, and like, this is not the main problem, and imposter syndrome is not the main problem. Like, it all comes together, and it attacks you in a certain way. So the point of all this is obviously just to raise awareness, because, we were thinking about it and we thought it's good food for thought and we can discuss it with everyone and you guys can let us know what you think. But it does have real implications, especially like we were saying, women in male dominated industries. If you're not aware of how you're putting yourself down, sometimes you're not helping yourself get up. There was a very
100%.
cute little diagram I was looking at today, and it was a little stick figure, and it was holding a big, like, weight, and that was, like, the task that you need to get done, or the responsibility that you have to carry. And then it was saying, look how much heavier you make it when you add negative thoughts of, like, I'm shit, I'm a loser, and I can't do this. And it showed it as, like, big-ass rain clouds making it, like, rain. And so, like, you're now adding that extra complexity because you have internalized all this self-oppression.
Yeah.
So the first is obviously you question your qualifications. You question whether or not you deserve
To be there.
yeah, to be promoted or to be put up or to be in that role that is your dream role. And you probably hit 8 out of 10 of the qualifications, but you won't apply because you think, oh, that's not good enough. Whereas common knowledge should be that everyone should know it's okay. You learn 20% on the job, but you have majority of the thing, like, and that should be common knowledge. And the second part is that it affects you being able to question whether what you're being given in a job is what you deserve.
Yeah, the salary aspect of things.
Exactly.
Remuneration and all of that.
Yeah, or even responsibility.
Yeah, because you take on more responsibility, but you're not getting paid for it. Is that
Yeah,
what you
or
mean?
even you just don't think that you're capable of handling more responsibility when essentially it's a feedback loop. If you take on more responsibility, that's the only way to learn how to upskill, and then therefore you learn and therefore you get more responsibility, sort of thing, which is like, yeah.
It affects your progression in your career. And I guess the reason for us to share it right now is because a lot of the listeners perhaps won't be like super identify with this internalized misogyny. Others would.
Yeah.
But it's so that you have a community and that you are supported and that you can reach out to other people and ask them for tips or for their opinion or for just support. Because I feel like this can happen to anyone, and you can realize at whatever stage you are in your career, if you have gone through 30 years plus feeling this way, and it's been really hard for you to sort of like get out of this cycle, then reach out to someone who can help you. It's never too late to ask for a different position. It's never too late to ask for help.
Yeah.
And if you're in your earlier stages in your career, then it's good information to just give you a little bit of perspective as well.
And even if you're a male ally listening, and you're a
oh my
leader,
God, yes.
you can recognize, and I think you can become aware that this is probably a reason why the female employee is so quiet in meetings, or why she doesn't put her hand up to do difficult tasks or whatever. It's not necessarily a capability issue.
I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
And it's not just a personality thing, that she is just more of an introvert.
No, like she's probably questioning her capability when she's so capable. So sometimes
Yes.
it's about drawing people out.
And that's something that we're very big on in this podcast, is like the way we can help coworkers thrive is just by speaking out for them, obviously not on behalf of them without them knowing, but on behalf of them if they don't have the tools.
And it doesn't fall under the category of babying someone. I think it's just everyone is different, and sometimes some people have not had that support or don't feel like they have that support, and they're not able to give that small push. Once you give someone that push, far out, it creates a core memory, first of all, to start off with.
Yeah, 100%.
And let's not talk about all the oxytocin and amazing trust you're going to get as co-workers.
Yeah, but it's actually really important because I think like a lot of the females that we have interviewed for this podcast, the ones that don't face imposter syndrome actually have a common denominator in their upbringing, which is like, I've never was put a boundary on what I couldn't or could do.
Exactly.
And the ones that have actually faced imposter syndrome are like, I actually, I had to teach myself how to do this. I have no role models.
The societal norm and all that, yeah.
So when you have your personal cheerleader, it's life-changing. It's like literally a game changer. And if you are surrounded by people that think the best of you, like I'm surrounded by my baby girl here, that actually makes such a big difference. And that's why I also like having a a partner that believes in you and doesn't question you
Exactly.
your worth or
Yeah.
your ambition career-wise is so important as
But
well.
even in school, like, and I think
back to
about
high
like
school.
this really cute story my sister had shared with me. I hope she's okay with me sharing it. But essentially, it was like a physics exam that she had to do, and she honestly second guessed the shit out of herself because she thought she doesn't know it and she's not good enough to know it. So a lot of the stuff she just left blank. But during the semester, she had been super active in class, answering all questions correctly, and so her physics teacher was fucking confused when the paper came, and he literally called her up. And this is why allies are so important and teachers are so important, because he didn't just say, he told her, I'm not going to mark it like this because I know you know your shit. So please explain to me, A, why you thought you couldn't do it, and B, he made her stand there and he asked her each question, and the way she answered it, he's like, wrote that
She
down
knows.
and been like, this is right. You should have written this. This is right. And then he marked her on that.
That's awesome.
Which was so cute.
And this goes all
Yeah.
to show that certain, I guess, measuring systems in schools or at the workplace don't really work with everyone
100%.
because everyone has a different perception of themselves and they're going to bring to the table like they perceive themselves.
Yeah.
So
Because how they perceive themselves is not just that environment. There's so much external shit
Yes.
going on in people's life that you don't
like
even
them
know.
internalized misogyny.
Or trauma at home, or, you know, so many things that are so difficult.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's so good that you highlighted that because and I wonder how hard it must be for leaders to sort of like trying to understand why people aren't bringing the best sort of like selves to work.
Yeah.
It's because there's so many layers of themselves that they have to sort of like go through.
Onions.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting.
Yes, when
And-
you cut them open, you cry, we are onions.
She's gone nuts.
At least she loves these. But yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously the next way that this can affect you, sorry to jump on, but like
She does it really quickly. I love it. It's entertaining to watch.
is because of this internalized feeling of inferiority, women tend to put up with more harassment.
Yes.
You know?
Oh,
They say about only
Yeah.
29% of the time will women actually report harassment that has happened to them.
well, and guess why? Because they don't want to be a troublemaker. Because when they
Yeah.
report it, they're ignored. Because when they report it, they get fired. Because the person that is harassing them happens to be in a higher position than them.
Exactly, yeah.
So obviously they are not going to harass the CEO of the company.
And they're
gonna
already beating
harass
themselves
another one.
up every day, you know?
Yeah.
So that's just compounding onto that. Imagine there's someone in a corner and like, how to say, really isolated or really
God,
struggling
yes.
with something internally, and now someone has gone and added abuse to that. They're not going to jump out and be like, I can fight for myself, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This reminds me of
It's like kicking a dog that's down.
last episode when Jonathan was saying that it just adds more pressure and more pressure
Exactly,
onto
yeah.
people because once you're bullied by someone, then is that voice that they have left and
Yeah.
added pressure on top of that. Thank you for reminding me.
And it's also then internalized misogyny, like we've talked about a lot in this episode, is unfortunately what it does, it just leaves you thinking about your looks a lot of the time. Those 13 intrusive thoughts, you know,
Yeah,
all day.
but it makes sense because again, like
Yeah, because you have to be concerned, oh, am I wearing too much pink? Do I look too feminine? Especially in a male dominated
yes,
industry.
oh my god, I remember
wanna,
that
like,
someone
look like
made
the
a
guys.
comment
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
about my diary.
Really?
I had a colleague once made a comment and they were like, oh, like if you go into a meeting, like make sure that your diary is not like all pink and colorful because
Holy shit.
it would stand out and you have to look
Oh my
professional. And I was like, so, and like literally when I joined the
makes me want to
industry,
cry.
when I joined the industry, I was like the most colorful
Oh, so cute.
unicorn. I was like, yeah, because what? Like, I'm a buddy, as
Yeah.
someone would say.
And like, you know, women's fashion is more diverse than men's. I love that fact. You know, men just have to wear the same button shirt and pants to work all day, but we get to choose. But the choices that we make because of this internalized misogyny is like, oh, I don't want to wear something that's like too revealing. I don't want to look slutty. I don't want to
Yeah.
look this and that. And that's
And even
You
the
shouldn't
way
have
we
to worry
like literally joke around in the office or like the way we speak, we don't want to. And this is why our last episode was so spot on when Jodie said we want an environment where we can feel safe because we don't want to be like taken as like you were overly friendly and this cross the line. when you were just being yourself, and because you're a female, then you weren't taken out of proportion. You were taken out of proportion.
Out of context, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just said wearing.
Okay, I was like, what's the word? And the last part is, honestly, we did discuss it. It keeps women from sharing their opinions in meetings, in any setting, you know, because we choose to not voice our opinion because we think that internally we've seen in society that, you know, women's opinions are not that important, you know?
I want to highlight something that is just like something that just came out into my mind, and it's something that internalized misogyny also affects, and perhaps it affects heavier in female-dominated industries. And is everyone has heard it. Everyone has heard like, oh, like a lot of female-dominated industries are like a lot of drama happening, a lot of competition, or like girls are just bitchy with everyone. That girls are being bitchy with everyone is internalized misogyny. It's like you see your co-worker, instead of like sorority, there's like competition.
Oh my God, so true.
Which is so awful to witness, because instead of like actually realizing that by having all these things in common you can thrive better. And it's funny because you don't see that in male-dominated industries.
Because in male-dominated industries,
males don't hate
like
each other.
They don't. And also, like, I feel like it probably happens less now that you mention it, because like the women realize they already got so many issues being the minority, they can band together and be like, help each other.
Yeah, they have a lot of things in common.
Yeah. And they're already fighting the male dominatedness. There's less time to fight between each other, you know.
But it still happens in,
It
like,
does
in
definitely
teams
happen, you
that
know,
I've worked with teams that actually are like there's more females than males. And I think a common comment also about internalized misogyny is when females make the comment about how if a female is in a senior position, then they slept their way through that.
Yeah, exactly. And that is questioning someone's hard work, integrity, and effort that they have bloody hell put in to get where they are.
Yeah, and it's not acceptable because, and I'm liking how nowadays in social media there's like this big movement of like how to, instead of compete with with another female, then instead of doing that you should support one another to grow together. Because before, back on the day, I remember that it was like if a girl like sees your man, like go and hate on her. Now it's like no, go and hate on the boy, because or like when cheating and all these things, like we are seeing change and we are seeing awakening. Like, just
raising awareness really changes generationally how people react. Because I feel like in this day and age, and what I see, you know, in the current generation, is there's such an abundance mindset. You know, where back in the day when people were building out, like, it wouldn't be that 100%. Much, you know, they would be more competitive. There's only a limited slice to the pie.
And we know why, because we were, like, constantly, like, trying to survive all the wars that people decided to have. Because guess what? No, I'm kidding. I always go into capitalism. But no.
Surviving war to war.
No, like, seriously, because there were wars about power. True, and power has always been the issue, even with patriarchal systems, with socialism, with every fucking economical issue. I have no idea about economical issues.
Got very political very quickly.
But it is true. It's so funny that power has always been the naughty and the desired thing. Naughty word.
Power is intoxicating.
Anyway, to wrap up, we're gonna quickly going to sort of like provide some conclusions of this podcast episode, because Lau has like this brain that lacks a structure, and Sohan has some really valuable things to just close with, and I also do. So go, Sohan.
So I think conclusively for me, the only thing that I hoped to share and come out of this with is understanding what internalized misogyny can look like, and it creates awareness in your day-to-day behavior and how you impact yourself and how you view your other female coworkers,
how you bring
friends.
Yourself to work,
exactly.
How you bring yourself to your own life. Like, this is just for us. I guess the conclusion from both of our ends is, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever considered that some of the things that you do or that you don't do are because you are wanting to fit in or fit with certain standards or certain stereotypes that probably that come from like internalized misogyny or like a patriarchal sort of like culture or system. Another thing that I wanted to emphasize on was for leaders, really cultivate empathy, because minority groups go through a lot of things. As we said, like, it's an onion. And it's not only the internalized misogyny, it's not only the fact that they are a minority in the group, it's not just the fact that they are facing like generational trauma. It could be that they even have a bad day. It could be even that they are going through a very hormonal stage in their life. So just be kind and take that into account when you are assessing performance and when you are giving feedback. Because at times we are very abrupt and we just say things for the sake of saying it.
And I know you're thinking about, like, because it's your responsibility to think about the business, but if someone's sharing that with you, ask them how they're doing.
Yes, be a little bit more human.
Yeah.
Humanitarian. So that's third. And the fourth, because I really like. The fourth one is, if you are at university or if you're part of school and you're listening to us, first, sorry for swearing. Second, do what feels right for you.
Understand why you're doing it. Don't just shy away from certain behavior because you feel like that's going to put you in a certain box.
Exactly.
You know, you can be...
Challenge the box.
Yeah, you can be a part of so many boxes.
Yes.
You know, and that's like why I love what Louisa, our first guest, did. Like, she enrolled herself in a Miss Universe pageant just to show that women
can wear many hats. Mm-hmm. The hat of being
and
beautiful,
you can be
smart,
pretty,
and
smart, exactly, successful. Oh my God, she's so good.
And you can sing and play sport.
100%.
And
100%.
And do whatever you want.
None of those things are inherently masculine, and none of those things are inherently feminine. And they are inherently feminine, masculine traits. We shall talk about that one day. But
you can also have masculine traits.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And assertive as fuck. Sorry,
yeah, but it shouldn't affect your what your interests are, and how you know, and it should never ever, I think, be a reason to look down on your female counterparts.
100%. If someone else has a more outgoing personality, that doesn't mean that they are trying to call attention and be loud and be the center of focus. It just means that they are loud, and that's fine. That's fine. Coming from a very loud person.
And I don't even know if we should record this, but I wonder, does internalized misogyny result in radical feminism?
Oh, maybe. Ego.
Or even hating on all things feminine, like nurturing, like wanting to become a housewife, you know?
Women. Yes,
like women hating on that. It doesn't deserve that much
I think everything in moderation is good.
Yeah.
If you hate something, hate is a strong word.
Yeah.
But question why do you hate
life choice? It's not a bad life choice.
I guess
question why you hate
the last conclusion of this. Oh my God, I cannot. She used it. But yeah, great use. Wait. What was the ha ha ha? Oh God, no. What call me that? Okay. Having too much fun.
Okay. I really love our new toys.
So the last one and the most important one. Question why you're doing. Even if you have been doing it for 30 years plus. Yep. Even if you've been thinking the way you've been thinking about yourself for more than a decade. Question it. Why? And if it makes you uncomfortable, then why is it making you uncomfortable? That's my end thing.
Alright.
Mic drop.
Birds chirping.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much for listening to us, especially after getting our new equipment. And if you made it until the end, well, love you.
You are a winner. Thank you.
You are a winner.